The story of Elkanah, Hannah, and Peninnah, a tale of faith, rivalry, and redemption. Scene opens in the ancient city of Ramah. The sun is setting behind a rugged hillside, casting a golden glow over the simple homes. The year is around 1100 BC, in the time of the Judges, a time of instability and uncertainty in Israel. The land was scattered, but the hearts of the faithful still turned to God in worship. Narrator: in the hill country of Ephraim, there lived a man named Elkanah, a Levite, a man of noble birth and deep faith. Elkanah was blessed with 2 wives, Peninnah, who had borne him many children, and Hannah, whom he loved dearly, though she was barren. Scene shifts to Elkanah's home. Peninnah, a mother of many, bustles about, her children laughing and playing around her. Hannah, sitting alone, watches with sad eyes, her heart heavy with sorrow. Peninnah, in a mocking tone. "Ah, how noisy it is with so many children. It's a pity you don't know what that's like, isn't it, Hannah?" Hannah, softly, holding back tears. "Peninnah, please." Peninnah, smirking. "Oh, I'm just saying. Elkanah deserves to be surrounded by the laughter of children. It must be hard for him, having a wife who, well, never mind." Peninnah walks away, her laughter echoing in Hannah's ears as the scene transitions to Elkanah's gentle approach. He kneels beside Hannah, taking her hands in his. "Elkanah, kindly." "Hannah, why do you weep? Why are you downcast? Am I not more to you than 10 sons?" Hannah, smiling faintly through tears. "You are, my lord. But there is an emptiness inside me that even your love cannot fill." Elkanah sighs deeply, his brow furrowed in concern. Every year, they journey to Shiloh to offer sacrifices to the Lord at the tabernacle, but each year, Hannah's heart grows heavier with the burden of her unfulfilled desire for a child. Scene shifts to Shiloh, the sacred site of worship. Families from all over Israel gather, bringing their offerings. Elkanah sacrifices his portion and gives meat to Peninnah and her children, but to Hannah, he gives a double portion, a token of his deep affection. Despite this, Hannah cannot eat. Her eyes fill with tears, her spirit crushed. Narrator: Hannah's pain was a deep, unrelenting ache. Year after year, Peninnah's taunts pierced her heart like daggers. Her prayers seemed to go unanswered, and her hope waned. But on this particular pilgrimage to Shiloh, something was different. Hannah had reached her breaking point. Scene shows Hannah entering the tabernacle, her face streaked with tears. The high priest, Eli, watches from a distance as Hannah, trembling, falls to her knees before the altar. Hannah, whispering fervently, her voice choking with emotion. "Lord Almighty, if you will only look upon your servant's misery and remember me, and not forget your servant but give her a son, then I will give him to you for all the days of his life, and no razor shall ever touch his head." Her lips move in silent prayer, her body shaking with sobs, but no sound comes out. Eli, observing her from afar, misinterprets her agony. Eli, sternly, approaching her. "How long will you keep on being drunk? Put away your wine, woman." Hannah looks up, startled and horrified, quickly rising to her feet. Hannah, desperately. "No, my lord. I am not drunk. I am a woman deeply troubled. I have not been drinking wine or beer, I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. Do not take me for a wicked woman. I have been praying here out of my great anguish and grief." Eli's stern expression softens. He sees the sincerity and the depth of her pain. Eli, gently. "Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him." Hannah, bowing her head, her voice full of newfound hope. "May your servant find favor in your eyes." Scene fades as Hannah leaves the tabernacle. For the first time in years, her heart feels light. She believes the Lord has heard her cry. Time passes, and the scene transitions back to Elkanah's home. The warm glow of morning light filters through the windows as Hannah stands in front of a cradle, smiling softly, a tiny baby boy in her arms. Samuel. The son she had prayed for. Narrator. The Lord remembered Hannah. In time, she conceived and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, saying, "Because I asked the Lord for him." The scene shifts to Shiloh once more, where Hannah, holding Samuel, stands before Eli, the priest. Her face is radiant with gratitude and fulfillment. Hannah, to Eli, her voice full of emotion. "As surely as you live, my Lord, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to the Lord. I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. Now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life, he will be given over to the Lord." Eli nods, a solemn expression on his face, as Hannah kneels and places Samuel into his arms. Samuel, still an infant, gazes up at his mother, who smiles through her tears. She has kept her vow. Narrator. And so, Hannah fulfilled her promise, giving her most precious gift back to God. Samuel grew up in the house of the Lord, and the Lord was with him. He would become one of the greatest prophets and judges of Israel, a man through whom God would speak, anointing kings and leading his people. Scene fades to Hannah, back at home, gazing up at the sky with peaceful joy. Her heart is full. Though she had given up Samuel, the Lord would bless her with more children, sons, and daughters, filling her home with the laughter she once longed for. The music swells, and the scene ends with a panoramic view of the hills of Israel, where the voice of the prophet Samuel would soon call the people back to God, a beacon of hope born from the faithful prayer of a barren woman. Narrator. This is the story of Hannah, of her faith, her perseverance, and her promise kept. A reminder that in the darkest of times, when hope seems lost, God hears the cries of his people. And in his time, he answers. The scene fades to black, with the final image of Hannah's tearful smile lingering in the light. The end.